Hello, thank you for joining me once again. Today I'm going to read Chapter 1 of The Children of the Law of One and the Lost Teachings of Atlantis by Jon Peniel. Very, very valuable spiritual information, and I promise you will enjoy the book. So, without further ado, please hit that subscribe button and hit the like button and sit back and enjoy me read Chapter 1 of The Children of the Law of One and the Lost Teachings of Atlantis. Chapter 1, The Children of the Law of One. The author of this book and I are both monks/priests of an obscure spiritual order called the Children of the Law of One, CLO. The famous psychic Edgar Cayce referred to our order in his readings, sometimes directly or by inference. Some believe our order and that of our enemies, the Belialians, opulent, slave, and power-mongering, are extinct, which we have both fostered. Cayce implies just the opposite if you scrutinize his readings. The up-to-date evolution of the CLO, the Children of the Law of One, and the Belialians will become clear later. Some of the information in this book contains information in Edgar Cayce's readings. However, we're not experts on the readings for whatever karmic reason. In this lifetime, Cayce's awareness, teachings, and abilities only emerged in trance, struggling with the radical contradictions between his conscious life's beliefs, a Protestant and Sunday school teacher, and the shocking things he read in the transcriptions of his trance readings after awakening from them. He even swore off doing the readings in his early days. You cannot separate the influence of your subconscious and your conscious mind, and vice versa. Thus, his readings were occasionally affected by his conscious beliefs and programming. The conscious and subconscious beliefs and minds of CLO teachers are as one. Thus, they don't need to go into trances. Due to this discrepancy, we cannot guarantee that everything here will be in pure agreement with Cayce's readings and vice versa. But from what we have heard from people who are very familiar with Cayce's readings, this book substantiates, clarifies, and enhances them, plus offers a new info and ways to apply the spiritual principles spoken of in them. Why? The information in this book may also be the fulfillment of his prophecy that a Jon Peniel, spelled John, would be a messenger bringing the world the new spiritual order of things in the future. John, which he spells his name as Jon, I believe read only 3 books with Cayce's quotes when he was a youngster: The Sleeping Prophet, The Story of Jesus, and parts of the Old Testament. None of what he gave any predictions about, nor contained the name Jon Peniel. Thus, before this book was published, we were unaware of that prophecy, just the CLO, Children of the Law of One, prophecy that John was to release in 1998. We attempted to publish anonymously, but major distributors and chains wouldn't carry the book unless the author's name was on it, so we relented. Shortly afterwards, we began hearing from Cayce's experts and members of an association founded by Cayce, the ARE, telling us about the prophecy. Many said after reading the book, they were sure John was the fulfillment of it, even though in the reading, since Cayce only spoke in trance, his secretary transcribed the name in the form common to them as John, rather than the European John, Jon. We don't claim John was the one Casey prophesied and considered it irrelevant. Any book or teachings should be judged on its own merit. The name of our order is unfamiliar to most. We deliberately avoid notoriety, preferring to live and work in peace behind the scenes. Sometimes one of us achieves fame, but only if necessary. Also, the name is prehistoric, translated not just from foreign languages, but from a thought concept. It can only really be understood that way. But analyzing the modern translation may help it be understood. Please try to understand this paradox. It means many things, but only one thing. The first part, the children of, relates to us all being children in the sense of subordinates of God, which we call the universal spirit. And part of its family, the in part, one, essentially means that rather than a silver-haired giant man in the sky making arbitrary decisions to us, God is the totality of everything that exists, the universe itself even. Thus, God is the one. The middle part of the name, the law of, comes from the fact that within the one, there are universal laws that govern the operation and function of everything in the universe, applying to all things, all vibration, physical or spiritual. Put this all back together again, and the children of the law of one then essentially means those who obey universal law and serve the universal spirit. Thus, something that is very important in our opinion is being in harmony with, one with, and a servant of God. The primary key to that is loving unselfishly. The rule of loving others unselfishly is sometimes called the golden rule. Many individuals and religions believe in the same concept. It was even the only commandment given by Jesus, and the way he said people would identify his followers, i.e., true Christians, would be recognized by loving others as Jesus did. Unfortunately, the golden rule is seldom lived by or focused on. It's often overlooked and not given the major significance it deserves. This book will go more into details about that later. Throughout history, we and branches of our order were sometimes known to various cultures by other names also, but generally unknown to the masses. Working behind the scenes, we provide inspiration and education that nourishes the best in humankind, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, and physically. It may take the form of arts, the sciences, spiritual or political philosophies, etc. But in all cases, we bring some form of light into a world of darkness. Thus, some of our initiates have been known as scientists, artists, spiritual leaders, unusual political representatives, and freedom fighters. Anywhere and any way we can promote spirituality through unselfish love and return to oneness, we do. Sometimes the name of our order or one of its branches is stolen and used by others with a dark agenda. Sometimes even the teachings are taken and twisted to serve their purposes. In their supreme selfishness, the greedy have used our names and corrupted our teachings in the pursuit of money, pleasure, power, and even world domination. I'm sure many of you can see how Jesus' name has been abused to mislead people. This also happened with the name, the Great White Brotherhood. Now there are also those abusing the name Children of the Law of One. You will know the true children of the Law of One by our emphasis on unselfish love and freedom rather than on spiritual knowledge, secret information, power, or phenomenon. Let the universal spirit, your inner voice, be your guide, lest you fall into the beautiful traps of darkness. Who we are and what we do. Initiates of our order have been dedicated spiritual caretakers of humanity since human life began. We have always been vigorous proponents of truth, freedom, justice, and compassion. Our teachings and ways have always been carefully preserved and passed down directly from teacher to student, who then becomes a teacher, etc. This has continued as an unbroken chain, using all means, including reincarnation. You may or may not believe in reincarnation, but does it really matter that much if we care about each other, are good to each other, and follow the golden rules in our lives? It doesn't matter to me whether you believe in reincarnation or not, and I hope it also doesn't matter to you whether I do or not. You may have heard how one famous Buddhist spiritual leader of our times, the Dalai Lama, continues to reincarnate, repeatedly taking the same position in life, serving as a teacher and leader of the people of Tibet and of Tibetan Buddhism. This one enlightened being has now been reincarnated over a dozen times as the Dalai Lama. This practice is not exclusive to Buddhism. Enlightened teachers of the Children of the Law of One also continue to reincarnate, although they usually choose different bodies and positions in life for various reasons. Some of our orders have been called ascended masters, saints who have passed on, but many actually continue to reincarnate in physical bodies to directly aid the people of the world. While many people believe that ascended masters or saints are the highest or greatest beings, those who chose to come back to earth rather than ascend pay the greatest price. Their continued reincarnation is a painful sacrifice that they make for us all, including you. These loving beings make this sacrifice so that those who wake up crying in the dark and desperately reaching out for God will have someone to take their hand and help guide their way. In order to serve those who need our help, there have always been approximately 1,000 initiated monks on earth at any given time. But as you will later read, at the time of this writing, there are but a few hundred. Some live in monastically, while others live amongst the people of this world. Most go about their work quietly, often unnoticed. Even though we usually strike for anonymity, many gained historical recognition. They have been known as saints, sages, founders of religions, scientists, inventors, teachers, artists, writers, musicians, philosophers, magi's, and even of some of the founding fathers of the United States. But whatever their undertaking or apparent profession, they have a common earmark. They always promote and exemplify unselfish love, oneness and freedom, and are at odds with the instigators of selfishness, hate, separation, oppression, and slavery. Leadership within the children of the Law of One is based on and determined by an individual's consciousness or level of spiritual development. Thus, the most humble and most self-sacrificing are the highest ranking and powerful leaders of the children of the Law of One. These beings have always had the most positive influence on the world throughout history. The being who was known in one of his lifetimes as Jesus is an excellent example of this. Known also by other names throughout history, he was our Grand Master, the foremost leader of the children of the Law of One throughout the ages. His example of strength through self-discipline, caring, and unselfish love spread a message throughout the world, a message he knew would only get told throughout the world if he made the ultimate self-sacrifice. Unfortunately, after his spiritual ascension, greedy men began to misrepresent his words and deeds, use his name, and edit parts of his teaching in order to gain wealth, acquire power, and even justify harm. Like the Grand Master, all but one of the old ones, the earliest ancient leaders of the children of the Law of One, have passed beyond the physical plane and chosen to no longer be incarnated with us here on earth. As the current period of this cycle of earth draws to a close, he is making an ancient teachings available to the public for the first time to provide a candle in the window of guidance and hope. Jon Peniel, the present head of our order, will begin his story in the next chapter. It includes the story of his physical journey through life, but for the most part, it portrays his spiritual journey. He tells his story in such a way that the reader can follow and share his thoughts, feelings, and experiences as he begins the studying and training that transforms him from a novice student monk to an initiated monk or priest. The first half of this book reveals the ancient teachings in a format of his personal relearning and changing during his days at the monastery. And in the second half, he presents our personal meditation and energy exercises. Okay, that was chapter 1 of The Children of the Law of One and the Lost Teachings of Atlantis by Jon Peniel. Fascinating, huh? You excited yet? You should be. So, until the next time, if you haven't already pushed that subscribe button, please push the subscribe button, hit the like button, and make sure you return to find out all about this spiritual enlightenment information. Okay? So, have the most benevolent day.